Eh? Good luck with the casual sex. I mean it. No, because you won't get it. Not with that name. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Meatwad, what do you think?
Oh man, you know, we've been through a lot together, haven't we? All the great TF2 content I produce, as well as the other random shit I upload to my channel because I feel like uploading it. Yeah, no, we've been through a lot together, haven't we? But, you know, throughout this fruitless endeavor I call YouTube, there's always been a constant with me and my audience, something that hasn't changed yet, and I doubt will ever change. You wanna know what that constant is? It's the fact that all of you won't stop calling me a fucking weeaboo. Don't get me wrong, you're all justified in thinking that, trust me, I understand. But let me give you guys the up and up for like the 50th time. It's not that I'm a weeaboo, I just really love animation. Now, whether it be anime, cartoons, drawn parodies, term projects, animated smut, hentai, or shemale SFM porn, I just really dig animation, guys. And I owe my appreciation for animation to cartoons of the mid-90s to early 2000s. You see, back in the days where Cartoon Network wasn't abbreviated, there was a plethora of quality cartoons on the network that actually helped shape my personality and sense of humor. If you can believe that. When I was younger, I would often have a favorite cartoon, and that specific cartoon would usually be a top priority to watch whenever said show came on. Now, I watched so many damn cartoons that this #1 spot changed extremely frequently. However, the first cartoon I remember giving this honor to was I don't know what it is about Scooby-Doo that just enticed me so much when I was a kid. Maybe it was my adolescent crush on Velma, or maybe it was the fact that I myself wanted a dog of my own. I don't know what it was, but just Scooby-Doo was my shit. And before everyone starts making fun of me, I'm talking about Scooby-Doo Where Are You?, the first show made in 1969 to 1970, alright? I am not talking about this, or this, or this, or whatever the fuck this is. No, I'm talking about the original show. Scooby-Doo Where Are You still to this day remains one of the most comfiest shows I have ever seen in my life. And yes, I said comfiest. Some of my most fondest childhood memories were coming back after school, the sun was setting, you turn on Cartoon Network, Scooby-Doo Where Are You was playing, and I would just snuggle up in my bed, you know, maybe have a honey bun under the sheets, and just pig out while I'm watching the Mystery Inc. gang get into the wackiest hijinks imaginable. Those were good times, man. I haven't had cable in over a decade now, so I'd be hard-pressed to recount and remember every single episode of the original show, but I do remember one in great detail. A night of fright is no delight. I don't know how this is possible, but I am the only person I know, personally, who is creeped the fuck out by this episode. Even me at 23 years old right now, I would be hesitant to watch this episode late at night all by myself. What's that? You wanna know why? Let's start from the beginning, shall we? You know what? Fuck that. I'm done. I'm not doing it. Nope. Fuck that. I've gone through enough therapy. Fuck that. Get that fucking episode away from me. The episode is literally within seconds of starting, and already you as a viewer are fucking uncomfortable. You look at this setting and tell me you don't smell the dead bodies. And what is with that frantic fucking music? Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow. They sure picked a creepy enough place to read a will.
I'm sorry, Daphne, could you repeat that?
Creepy enough place to read a will.
I'm sorry, one more time?
Place to read a will.
One more time for the people in the back.
Will.
Bill.
Yes, in this episode of Scooby-Doo, there is already an established deceased person. Even the picture of the fucker is creepy. Okay, for those of you unaware, basically Homeboy Scoob over here saved General McCreepyfuck years ago from a pond or some shit. And boy died and basically left Scoob some fortune. Alright, you're caught up. Now let's continue with our story. What the fuck? This episode is a non-stop barrage of just making you feel uneasy. If the locale itself or General Mick Eats Babies over here hasn't begun to at least make you feel a little uneasy, this shadowy fuck over the gang will assuredly start the process.
What's good, Nyuka?
Oh, I see you made it.
You know, since we're on the topic of them making it, I think I need to address something really quick. Who in their right mind expected a group of teenagers to traverse across the ocean in risky weather conditions in the first place? These are high school students in their mid-teens, with the oldest being Fred and Shaggy at 17. They're barely old enough to have a driver's license, let alone have the capacity to steer and maneuver a boat through rugged waters to a location seemingly in the middle of nowhere. My problem isn't so much that they are able to accomplish this without any casualties or injuries, but more so with the fact that Colonel Sanders actually expected them to show up at all. Did he know whether or not they had access to a boat, or if any of them had the experience to drive one? From what I remember, Daphne's family is wealthy and are implied to finance the group's wacky hijinks, but did the Colonel know this? I understand you're supposed to be paying Scooby back for saving your life and that it's a huge inheritance, but did you actually think this shit through at all?
Colonel Sanders was a bit hard, and his only instructions were to play this record for you.
I spent an hour on this joke and it's not even funny.
Greetings, y'all! Cousin Simple, Nephew Normal, Sweet Cousin Simple, Cousin Slicker, and my old friend Cousin Simple.
So, Colonel Dilapidated Anus over here is laying down the deets of the inheritance for his family and our favorite mangy mutt. The method of acquisition? Staying a night in his creepy broke dick ass house. Yeah, it's honestly not much of a big deal, you know, I mean.
The house is haunted.
What? You know, you gotta give it to Colonel Crispy Tender Strips. He really has no regard for the safety of his family or friends. I mean, the horrible weather conditions making it a safety hazard to even reach the island can be argued to not be the fault of the Colonel since, you know, he's dead and he wouldn't have been able to predict the forecast for the day of the reading of his will. But if he truly believed that the house was haunted with apparitions and the like, how could he knowingly put his contemporaries in danger like this? Like, yeah, acquiring inheritance through some form of test is not necessarily unheard of, but this honestly seems more like an act of foreboding malice rather than kindness. I don't know, this is the plot for a mystery-themed children's cartoon from the early 70s. I honestly don't know why I'm looking so deep into this shit.
Well, that's it. I will return to the island in the morning to find out which of you remain, if any.
I really don't have to say much here, folks. This scene is fucking traumatizing. The unrelenting loudness of the grandfather clock paired with one of the most goosebumps-inducing laughs I've ever heard is the stuff of nightmares. Look, call me a pussy all you want, but I dare you to watch this scene late at night while no one's home, with the lights turned off. Let's see how well you'll sleep afterwards.
Pleasant dreams, y'all.
So everyone turns in for the night and we are blessed with a scene of Scooby-Doo taking a bath. How could anything ruin such a comedic, lighthearted scene?
You're about to show them, aren't you?
Oh, you fucking know it.
Hi, Billy Mays here to share with you the most important product I have ever endorsed. Tell them Billy sent you.
Alright, that's not actually how it happened.
I was looking inside the movie that was...
That is the face of true fear. Even though I don't remember every single episode of Scooby-Doo, I think this is the most terrified expression of Scoobs I remember throughout the entire series. And who can fucking blame him? Imagine being in a state of vulnerability and feeling safe amongst friends or family, only to vanish suddenly without them even knowing what happened to you. And do not even get me started on the ghost design. Jesus fucking Christ. The chains, the sinister face, the creepy cackle they let out as they chase their target, the way they hold their hands up. Fuck. I have legit, and this is not a joke by the way, I have legit had nightmares where these freaks have come out of my closet in the middle of the night and proceed to strangle me, cackling the whole way through. Honestly, if I keep talking about them, I'm gonna have a stroke. So let's move on. Scooby escapes and proceeds to tell his roommates about what just happened, and they all decide to take a look at the bathtub. Unfortunately, they don't believe him and dismiss him as a lying piece of shit and tell him he will burn in eternal damnation for his sins as demons rip him limb from limb for his egregious. Unfortunately, Fred and Shaggy can't find anything wrong with the bathtub and ask Scoobs to quit it with the spooky stories. I can only imagine the amount of you that just got goosebumps because of how frightening that organ was. Don't lie to me, pussies. You know that shit was unsettling. You might think that was unnecessarily dramatic and was just an excuse to commit third-degree arson, but you know what? Fuck you! This scene struck unrelenting fear into the mind of young Giggles, and is the main reason I avoid watching this episode late at night. I don't think I have to really conduct an analysis because I believe the scene speaks for itself, but the thing that creeped me out most was where the phantom spawned from. The thought of a household object containing a spooky ghoulie had given me a paranoia of the unknown hiding in plain sight. And while it's not as prevalent as it was in my younger years, I still come across the thought daily. Even in my own home. I don't know what else to say, dude. Shit's spooky, yo.
Poor Cousin Simple. All that's left of him is his nightcap.
Isn't that a shame? Hey, get a load of this writing on this dusty mirror.
It says, the first is gone, the rest will go, unless you leave the island and row, row.
Fight the power!
Scooby snack! Scooby, yo!
You'd think I'd be sorry for that, but I'm not. So Shags acknowledges what Scooby saw was real, and Cousin Slicker suggests everyone return to their rooms and
lock our doors!
Oh yeah, that'll stop the fucking phantoms from entering. So the gang devises a trap to catch the phantom in action by leaving their door open and using a dummy of our favorite Great Dane. When the phantom enters, Fred, Daphne, and Velma will jump him, while Scooby and Shaggy watch while hanging from a pipe outside. Unfortunately for them, the phantom shadow is tired of their bullshit. Jesus Christ, this fucker is hardcore. He nearly murders 3/5 of the Mr. Ink gang with just one hand motion, like, wow. Unfortunately for him, the laws of physics are absent in this universe and Scooby, Shaggy, and Velma survive. They land in a cave, find some coats, and get spooked by a pelican. That's it. Yeah, what, you think I'm gonna go over this whole scene? Fuck no. They find an elevator that leads to Cousin Slicker's room, only there is no Cousin Slicker present.
They're all gone.
Cousin Simple? Cousin Slicker? Nephew Normal?
sweet cousin Maldehyde.
All but one. Yes, you, Scoob.
Wow, what a night for a fright.
You said it. 4 missing heirs, a haunted house, and a phantom shadow.
Like all that's missing is a spooky organ.
Come on, let's find out where it's coming from.
This fuckboy literally appears within a frame of Fred leaving, and you're gonna sit here and tell me that nobody noticed him. Also, can we stop with the fucking organ? Oh my god.
Well, here's the organ.
So they can't find the person who was playing the organ, and they find a riddle scribbled into the music book.
You can't feed an organ.
No, but you can play one.
Oh, brother.
Let's watch the floor and see what happens.
I think we better, watch the walls.
Why?
'Cause they're closing in on us.
The door's locked.
Dude, when the fuck did this become Saw? This is probably, in my opinion, the most ominous scene in the entire episode. Like, the fact that the Phantoms are willing to go to such an extreme as to squish 4 teenagers and a canine to death in cold blood is just gruesomely dark and morbid. God, could you imagine the fear they must have went through? Luckily, homeboy Scoob saved the gang by playing random keys with his foot, thus stopping the walls. Velma then decodes the musical riddle, and a trap door appears in the middle of the floor.
Creepy, cobweb-filled catacombs.
And that's not all. Look!
Coffins! 5 of them!
And the empty one's dog-shaped.
You know, there's a reason this episode is so vividly remembered in my head. It's fascinating to me the reoccurring theme of death present in this episode without directly mentioning it. A grandfather clock can commonly be used as a metaphor to signify the idea of your time being up. An organ is usually associated with funerals, and a coffin, enough said. I know the whole premise for this episode is Scooby inheriting a fortune from a dead colonel, but they actually never directly mentioned his deceased status or how he died. Like, yeah, we all know the guy is dead, but it still is never actually said. Maybe this was just censorship, and Hanna-Barbera or CBS didn't want the idea of death lingering in the minds of young audiences, but honestly, I think it worked towards the episode's favor. The phrase show don't tell is a common one used in the entertainment industry, and many favored pieces of literature and media like to adopt this as philosophy. And even if it wasn't intentional, and I'm just giving the writers too much credit, I still believe it enhanced the atmosphere of this episode twofold. I mean, there's a reason this shit stuck with me for so long, you know?
It's the Phantom Shadow!
Only he's not a shadow. He's a green ghost.
Now there's 2 of them.
He's fainted!
Can you fucking blame him? You put these fuckers in front of me and I'm gonna do the same shit. I'd rather die.
Grab Scooby!
Right, let's get out of here.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now. Come on, Scooby-Doo, I see you. Pretending you got a sliver.
What? That's how the episode ends. He suffers a concussion after getting hit in the head while fainted and he dies. You thought there was gonna be some happy ending? Fuck outta here!
Well, it's about time you woke up.
God, could you imagine getting chased by this?
fool that goofy ghost this time. He'll never find us up here. Everywhere we look, Scoob, giggling green ghost.
It's Brittany, bitch.
Can you believe I used to be scared of this scene? So here we have both Scooby and Skaggy confronted by an immediate threat, and what do you suppose they do to get out of it? They fucking barrage him with semi-automatic wine corks. You can't make this shit up.
Let's go, Scooby-Doo!
And here, ladies and gents, is where I stop. But I hear you say in the audience, the episode is not over yet. Why stop here? And I'll tell you 3 reasons why. The first reason is that I do not wish to devalue the original source material. Throughout this video, I have purposely omitted scenes and dialogue in the hopes that you guys go and watch the episode yourselves. I only hope that my video provided enough intrigue to do so. I'm choosing to not cover the remaining 1/3 so that those of you who haven't seen the episode have something to look forward to if you decide to watch it yourselves. The second reason is that there's just not much else to talk about. The rest of the episode is strictly comedic and lighthearted, as par the course with your typical Scooby-Doo episodes. All the parts that used to spook me have been covered already, so I feel my video has served its purpose. And number 3, my video is longer than the episode itself. I mean, yeah, you just essentially sat through an entire episode of Scooby-Doo. Congrats. I guess I'll conclude this with what I said at the beginning. Scooby-Doo is my first favorite cartoon, and it will always hold a place in my heart as I remember my youth. A Night of Fright is No Delight is still a creepy episode, but when someone who loved cartoons as much as I did can only recall a lone instance of being freaked out by one, you know I have to acknowledge it and praise it for that feat. If any of you watching have a spooky episode of a cartoon you'd like to share, talk to me in the comments. I read every single one. Hey you! If you like this video, chances are you're a fan of cartoons, and maybe then you're also a fan of comics. A very close friend of mine is in development of his very own comic, and from the previews I've seen so far, it looks fan-fucking-tastic. The comic is titled Tom and Artie, and will feature Tom, the unicorn, and Artie, a whatchamacallit, as the comic's main protags. The premise being that the two of them are mercenaries and embark on multi-dimensional adventures in the name of profit and fun. From what I've heard, the first issue is nearing completion soon, and I am beyond excited to get to read it. Anyway, Tom and Artie have a Facebook page that I would like to help grow in any way that I can, as I truly see the potential of this series. I'll leave a link to the page in the description. If you're interested, consider checking it out, and if you like what you see, then feel free to like the page. Last thing I'll say is that my friend is not paying me a dime to say any of this, and actually doesn't even know I'm giving him a mention on here. I am fortunate enough to have a humble audience subscribe to me, and if even one of you checks out the page and likes it, I will be immensely satisfied. That's all she wrote, folks. Before I go, I'll leave y'all with one more unfunny joke.
Hello? It's for you.
Yo, shut the fuck up, you bum ass nigga. Your dick don't even touch your belly button. Lower your tone.
Found peace in the heart of the storm. I had to get released till the demons was gone. Always kept to myself, never fit in with the norm. All I had was the pain, he tried to give me the calm. All I had was the darkness, till he gave me a dawn. I was 12 with no parents, then he gave me my mom. 22, no direction, then he gave me the John. Then I